The caves. Deana ran straight, hoping to get out of the large crab's view long enough for it to lose interest and forget its pursuit. Once out of sight, crabs seemed to believe their prey had simply vanished and would leave to search for easier targets. She dashed around the large dune, daring a quick turn to look behind her. The crab was not following. She slowed her running and turned to look ahead. But she was too late. She had only a moment to see the great funnel-shaped pit in the sand before one of her feet caught its edge, making her lose balance and tumble to its wall. Falling to her knees, she tried climbing back up, but the loose particle walls were nothing but fine grain, and she couldn't get a grip as she slid farther to the pit's center. Something waited, with large curved mandibles protruding on the outsides of its mouth, the falling grains triggering the small bristled setae lining its invertebrate body. She let out a scream as her body's descent increased, slamming her right at the head of the titan insect, where it bit down on her thigh. Pain blinded her as it pulled her deeper into the sand. For only a moment, she choked to find air. "This one's ours," she heard the grunt of a deep female's voice before she was hoisted over someone's shoulder. She kicked, only to be held down by two more hands. As she lifted her head, she could see the light from the hole she'd just slid through. The insect, which wasn't as large as she'd thought, moving back into place. She was in a cave. A dim shade of blue light filling the cavernous setting, with large beings, each with 4 pairs of arms, crouched around the insect's oval abdomen, which was covered with bristled setae. Another voice screamed as another Mycorian fell through the hole just as she was carried away. Deana's head bobbed as the creature shouldering her ran through the cave's twisting lit tunnels, their walls slick and jutting with blue glowing worms. Her captor's lower 2 arms swung as it ran, while its first 2 arms securely held her. Another being ran alongside them as they rounded a final corner, stopped, and dropped Deana onto a pile of shredded silk. She turned her head to the sound of a Mycronian male wailing in ecstasy as a large 4-armed being rode him. 2 of its arms held the male down, while the other 2 fondled her breasts, which had large, black, erect nipples. The creature only had 2 breasts, an odd sight for Deana, but the male's eyes were fixated as he watched her play with them while she bounced on his erect penis, licking her lips salaciously. She towered over him, her abundant breasts easily capable of squishing his head. Due to their immense size, the male couldn't help but be in breast heaven. "Take care of that bite," the one who had been carrying her said. Deana noticed this one also had 2 breasts, as did their third companion. Their skin was dark gray and had a sheen as if oiled. Black hair hung in braids, tied back with silk bands. They had no antennae. Muscles rippled their bodies like a male's, but their faces were feminine, with black pearl eyes, small pudgy noses, and thin gray lips that didn't seem to smile much. Unlike Mycorians, they had prominent protruding ear structures, shaped like seashells. The second female wrapped something wet around Deana's leg. Before the final wrapping covered it, she could see how nasty the bite was. The bandage was tied, and when it was finished, Deana felt a flush of heat spread over her entire body. "How much longer?" the first one asked the being bouncing on the Mycorian male. "1 more," she said, then rolled her hips to grind on the male. "Give me 1 more, my sweet one. Feed my eggs, feed them." Deana didn't think she heard right. Feed, not seed? But before she could dwell on it any further, she squirmed, feeling the flush of heat over her body again, all of it coming from the source of the insect's bite. "Come on," the first one said anxiously. "She's almost ready." The female leaned over and began whispering next to the male's ear, a hard nipple dangling near for him to suck. Before he could reach up, he came, yelling out as he expelled his seed. "Good boy," The female patted his head. "Oh, yes, they're alive," she announced, rubbing her belly. "They are alive." "Then come on and get over here," the first one said, taking both of Dicena's ankles and bending her legs at the knee, her split utterly exposed. "Let's see what we're working with." The second female, now seated on Dicena's left, ripped open her sack dress, her 4 breasts bouncing from the force, just as the mating female jumped up and landed on her knees on Dicena's right side. "Here we go, my dear," the mating female purred, taking Dicena's nub in her fingers and rubbing it with such expertise that it immediately made Dicena moan. "That's it, dear. That's it." Dicena immediately came, eggs bursting forth from her womb's walls. But the mating female didn't stop. 2 of her arms took hold of Dicena's right 2 breasts, and the second female took hold of her left 2. Their large hands massaged and rubbed her nipples, which erected and demanded more attention. They gave them an attending feel, all 4 breasts at the same time. The mating female then replaced her hand with her mouth on one of her nipples and targeted her nub even more. "Keep going," the female between her legs said, her eyes fixed on Dicena's slit. Dicena came again and again, as all of her sensitive parts were rubbed and her nipples sucked. The 2 females bent over, their mouths and multiple hands working her breasts as if they were co-playing an instrument. "That's it. More." Dicena couldn't see what more they needed. She was sure she had split open during her first orgasm. What more did they want? She moaned again, twisting her hips. She needed something inside her, anything. Eggs continued to pour into her womb. "That's it," the second female said, her eyes turning white as she placed one hand on Dicena's abdomen. "The first wave is out." "Going in," the female said between her legs, and with that, a penis erupted from her nub, making Dicena gape, and then scream in pleasure as the hard flesh barreled into her, thrusting her into a frenzy. The female let out a cry, and heated seeds seared into her. It was too hot. "Get those eggs, get them!" the second female cheered, her eyes still white as her hand moved around Dicena's stomach. She bent down and sucked a nipple, sending more welcomed pleasure through Dicena's body. "Over here," she said, lifting up from Dicena's nipple and patting the left side of her stomach. "Got it," the female panted, thrusting in that angle and sending another searing stream of seed that way. "Here," the wide-eyed female directed, and the female climaxed, sending seeds on that path. Again and again, seeds poured into her abdomen, with the mating female whispering, "Kill them! Kill them! Kill them all!" over and over, encouraging the female inside Dicena to climax harder. Why? Dicena thought, as her body filled with pleasure again. Why are they killing her eggs? Finally, the thrusting stopped, a disappointment rising in Dicena as the seeding female lowered her legs. The mating female took her place, a penis also erupting from her nub, but this one, instead of the normal tiny slit on its head, had a gaping hole, 2 fingers wide. She thrust the hardness inside, making Dicena yell as a new pleasure swelled within her. The female made short, rapid movements. Here they are, she said, and immediately climaxed. Dicena felt something round and hard hit the sides of her womb, one after another. The mating female panted, "First 4 inside." She changed position with the female to Dicena's left, whose eyes changed from white back to their normal dark. "I can't wait," she said, taking her position and bending Dicena's legs back. Her penis jutted out from her nub, overly long and wide. She worked it inside, grinding into her with low growls, sending Dicena into groans as she picked up speed. Seed them, the mating female chanted. And it finally dawned on Dicena what they were doing. They killed her eggs and replaced them with theirs, each one completing their prospective task. First, They brought their eggs to life with the Micronian male seed, and then killed off her eggs using her womb to seed and incubate theirs. She knew all of this, but she couldn't resist. She screamed out another climax. The second female's eyes went wide again as she placed her hand on Dicena's belly. She released more. She moved out of the way as the first one took her place again, thrusting and climaxing her searing seeds. "You got 'em," the egg seeder confirmed, her white eyes turning dark. "You are not going to kill my eggs," the egg layer whispered sharply in her ear. "Oh, no, you won't." She took her place again. "But by the sands, she feels good." She plunged in, building herself with every stroke to the climax of releasing more eggs inside Dicena's womb, wailing as she did so. "That's 3, she panted, then came back down from the heightened pleasure. The egg sender took her place again and pressed her body close to Dicena's, the heat between them palpable as she whispered 2 words in her ear. "You're ours." Their primal passions were soon all that Dicena could think about. Not the loss of her eggs, not the use of her body, but the constant sucking, rubbing, and thrusting of her flesh. They worked her until she was wilted and utterly succumbed, her abdomen swelling with their large eggs, and small moans escaping as they came in her over and over in their respective ways. Her body rocked. Her head loosely bounced on the silk bedding with every pummel, and she couldn't think of being in any other place but here. She didn't know when she had fallen asleep, but a straw was pressed to her lips. "Drink, my dear. Drink for our little darlings." She took deep sips of something spicy and fruity, and then looked alarmed at her swollen belly. The one with white eyes massaged it, observing what lay inside. "We did it, my darling," the one who had given her the drink said. She recognized her as the egg layer. "My beautiful eggs just loved their new home." "Just a few days," the white-eyed one said, "and she'll lay this batch." Someone approached the 3. These females were shorter versions and not as muscled. "Are you done with—" They indicated the sleeping male who lay not too far away. "Oh," the egg layer said, "you can have him. He's not one we want to keep." The short female squealed, and they hauled the sleeping form away. The egg defender grunted. "We'll have to go back in line and wait for another male. You're going to have to choose one eventually." "But I have," she said, cocking her head and pointing down at Dicena. "No," the egg defender said, unbelieving. "Are you sure you want this one?" "She's beautiful and feels good and smells good, too," the egg seeder said. "And her womb held so many of our eggs because it looks like she hadn't been fertilized much." "Too bad for them," the egg layer said, sticking out her bottom lip. "We have her now. They just missed out." The 2 looked at the egg defender and waited. Finally, she said, "I think we're all in agreement." The egg layer shrieked out her happiness, leaned over, and planted a lingering kiss on Dicena's lips. Dicena lifted, unable to stop herself from returning the kiss. When it ended, the egg seeder then kissed her, followed by the egg defender. The egg layer giggled happily as she caressed Dicena's collarbone, which only meant one thing. Her skin was flushed. Dicena had married them. "Yes," the egg layer said, kissing her again, and whispered, "After you finish laying our soldiers. In a year, I'm going to put a baby in you." "That's a long way away," the egg defender said, now lovingly stroking Dicena's belly. "But yes, I can't wait to start our own family, too. But we'll need to make a lot of soldiers to help fight through the unclaimed tunnels and caves if we are to make the kind of home we're dreaming of." These are strong, the egg seeder said, and I'm sure they'll be able to hold every batch we send them. That being said, there's no time to waste. Come on, the egg defender said, smacking the egg layer on the arm. We need to find a male and get a temporary female for the next batch. And maybe we'll keep the male this time, the egg seeder hoped, and go back to our proper-looking cave and not this slab of a corner. That home of yours is a piece of slab, too, the egg layer said, wrinkling up her nose. We wouldn't have to stay there long if somebody would make her choices, the egg layer shrugged. I can only go by what my body feels. We have the wife now, right? After 2 weeks, she smacked her lips. We'll find the right husband. But I'm not too picky. I just know what we need, she called after the 2 retreating females. Then she turned to Deana and said softly, and what we need is to endlessly love you, hard and long, forever. The end. Want to try another path? Or, this is my preferred ending.